Sally Nugent and Jon Kay.
9 million pensioners in England and Wales will be entitled to the winter fuel payment this year after a government U-turn. It comes ahead of tomorrow's spending review.
We can speak now live on Breakfast to the Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, who joins us from Westminster. Good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
Millions of pensioners had a really anxious winter. They told us every morning in our inbox that they couldn't afford to put the heating on. Some told us that their health and their well-being was affected by losing the winter fuel payment. Will you now apologise for this mistake?
Well, look, the context of this, John, is that the Chancellor took a decision last year when we came into office that she needed to stabilise the nation's finances, and the principle that we should pay the winter fuel payment to all pensioners wasn't correct. That's why she made the decision she did. Two things have happened since then. We've stabilised the nation's finances, and we've heard that strength of feeling that you talk about, that Breakfast has heard, and that's why she made the change she did. And I think it's the right thing that the Chancellor did. And I think more important than what you asked is changing the policy. That's what I heard from people, and we've changed the threshold. 7.5 million more pensions will get it, and I think it's the right thing to do.
But it has caused an awful lot of anxiety and pain and upset to millions and millions of people. And, you know, our viewers like it when politicians own mistakes and admit to mistakes, and they like it when politicians say sorry. Why won't the Chancellor, why won't you this morning just apologise? Simple.
Because the Chancellor, and I think she's right about this, is not going to apologise for a series of measures she took to stabilise the nation's finances when we came into office. She was confronted with a situation of a huge black hole in the nation's finances. The thing that would hurt pensioners and others hugely is the economy going off a cliff. She took a whole series of measures to stabilise the nation's finances. Now, as I say, a couple of things have happened since then. She has taken those decisions to stabilise the finances. She's got more room for manoeuvre, and she's heard the strength of feeling. And I think that, you know, that's why she's made the change she has. And, you know, I've been on lots of doorsteps where people have raised the winter fuel allowance a lot. The people I've spoken to haven't said, we want you to apologise. They've said, we want you to change the policy. And that's what we've done.
This wasn't just a policy, though, was it? This was a big policy. It was a signature, a landmark policy, one of the first big policies you made when you came into government. And time again, you all told us that it was not going to change. Let's just play a sample of clips we've got of various cabinet ministers telling us that there was going to be no alteration to this policy.
The decisions I made on winter fuel payment yesterday are not decisions I wanted to make. They were not decisions that I expected to make. But when confronted with a £22 billion black hole, I had to act.
We know this is a difficult choice, and we was left with, you know, very difficult circumstances because the previous government and what they did.
We are not prepared to duck the difficult decisions and leave everyone paying a heavier price down the line. That was the Conservative way. It's not the Labour way.
This isn't a change we wanted to make. It's not a change we expected to make. We did it with a heavy heart, but we do think it is the right decision.
And now it wasn't the right decision.
What's so interesting about that montage, John, is that the Chancellor, who was first, said it's not a decision she wanted to make, and that was correct. And, you know, that's why, having got the room for manoeuvre, which she now has, she's now raised the threshold in response to the strength of feeling, while sticking by the principle. And I actually don't think most people are questioning the principle that, you know, millionaires, the richest in society, shouldn't get the winter fuel allowance. So, you know, I think those clips are absolutely consistent with what the Chancellor announced yesterday.
What, you're saying this is not a U-turn?
Well, no, it obviously is a change on the threshold. But what I'm saying to you is, these are decisions she said she didn't want to make, and now she's got the room for manoeuvre to raise the threshold while sticking by the overall principle.
It really undermines her credibility, doesn't it? At a time when you have put so much into the economy, the strength of the economy, growth going forward, where does this leave Rachel Reeves' reputation that she's done this U-turn?
I don't believe that recognising the strength of feeling does undermine it. I actually think it shows that she is willing to hear what people have been saying. And look, today I'm announcing massive investment in the future of our country with new nuclear for our country, Sizewell C, small modular reactors, creating good jobs, giving us energy security, tackling the climate crisis. That shows what we're going to be seeing this week from the Chancellor, which is a commitment to invest in the future of our country, to reject the path of decline, having made difficult decisions, to actually give us the ability to invest in the future. We wouldn't be able to do that if she hadn't made some of the decisions she has.
OK. We'll talk about those nuclear plans in just a moment, but I think while you are concentrating on those today, a lot of Labour backbenchers are thinking, hang on, well, what should we go for next? We've got them to U-turn on winter fuel payments. What about the two-child benefit cap? What about the welfare reforms we don't like? That's the problem the Chancellor now has. You all have now, isn't it? That when you turn back on one key policy, the expectation is you'll row back again in future.
Look, I don't agree with that. I think, look, just take child poverty. What we saw last week from Bridget Phillipson, again made possible by the Chancellor, was extending free school meals to 500,000 more kids, taking 100,000 children out of poverty. Tackling child poverty is absolutely what part of what the Chancellor's mission is for this country.
Just on a technical point, we've had some questions from viewers, as you'd expect, about the return of winter fuel payments. And if there are two pensioners in one household, one of them earns above the threshold and one of them below, they will still get now some of the winter fuel payment. Campaigners have long said that would be a good way of dealing with child benefit, but we were told it was impossible to do that for child benefit. So will you now look at child benefit, maybe U-turn on that policy as well?
Well, those are matters for the Chancellor. As far as the winter fuel payment is concerned, look, we have a system of individual taxation in this country. That's why the Chancellor has chosen the system that she has, because she doesn't want to create a whole new bureaucratic system of a household means test. I think child benefit is a different matter, but I think the system she's chosen is the right system and it's a fair system.
It's right for winter fuel, but not necessarily for child benefit.
Well, I'm saying that the Chancellor's decisions yesterday were about the winter fuel payment, and I think she made the right decision.
OK.